sales is the most lucrative skill in the world, period. The problem is most sales advice out there today is outdated, cheesy, and can even keep you from getting the deals that can make all the difference in your career. This is the No BS Sales School, a podcast for entrepreneurs and salespeople who want to master the skill of selling without all the BS. So I had this new client tell me about a sales call that he had this week. And he said, I went in there and I told him all the stuff that we could do. And then the worst thing happened was we couldn't deliver what we said we could do. I was like, okay. And I said, so how did it end? And he said, well, that they got mad at us and we're not going to do business with them. I said, okay, sorry about that. And I said, let's stop for a second. Why the hell did you tell them all the things that you were going to do to fix it before they bought? He said, well, I have to, don't I? No, you don't. All this selling, quote, selling that people do, I'm sure not you, but some of your competitors do, is go out and vomit information. Features and benefits. Let me tell you how great we are. Blah, 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 blah. A lot of times when I ask people what their process is for selling, the first thing they say is when I get to the meeting is I want to educate them about all that we do. I'm like, holy shit, why do you do that? Why is the first slide in your slide deck information about us? When you're on a sales call, if you're doing it right, it's never about you. Number one, get rid of the slide in your slide deck that says about us. Let me tell you about our company and our history. Nobody gives a shit. Your prospect, here's your job. It's not to tell them how great you are. Remember, your job is to be the guide, not the hero. Your job, if done well, is to go in and figure out, do these people have any problems? Is there anything that they feel like is broken? Is there something, a gap between where they are and where they want to be, right? We can talk about problems versus pain. That's for another episode. But your job is not to go freaking say how great you are. Your job is to go find out what's going on with them. Your sales calls, every single one of them, need to be about your prospect and not about you. Because what happens if you go in and tell everybody how great you are and exactly what you're going to do and how it would work before they've given you money? One of two things. One, they're trying to decide if they trust you or not. If that's the right thing, right? They need to know if this is the right thing or not to do. Quite frankly, if they knew what the right thing was to do, they wouldn't need your help. The second problem is if you tell them exactly how you're going to fix the problem before they bought, it's a pretty good chance they could either call somebody else and say, can you do that for cheaper? Or they may try and do it themselves. Awful nice you do all that free consulting. When you go on a sales call, your job is to sell today and then educate tomorrow. Sell today, educate tomorrow. I'm going to dig a little bit deeper here. When somebody buys, they got to make two decisions, not just one. They got to make two decisions. Number one, am I going to do anything? Am I going to make any change at all? Number two, only after they've made the first decision, who am I going to do that with? Am I going to make any change at all? Question number one that has to be asked, has to be answered. And then number two, who am I going to do that with? So I just want you all to recognize, I want you to recognize that change is hard for everybody. And while it may seem very obvious to you about how important it is to change and how great your stuff is, any kind of change is hard for people. There is a ton of fear, uncertainty, and doubt. FUD, they call it. And by your telling them how great you are not really getting rid of fear, uncertainty, and doubt. What you need, the reason that people change and then they don't beat you up about money is that they've got a problem that impacts them personally. They've got a problem that impacts them personally, and they've said that out loud to you. Don't assume that until they've said it to you, it's not real to them. Part of your process, part of your discovery process is asking people questions to take them to second level thinking, which is why they believe what they believe. Right? First level thinking is response. Right? It's just respond. If we go to second level thinking, it's why do I believe that response? Why is that the right response? So as we dig through in our sales calls, we want to know not just what our prospect thinks, but why they think that. And I need them to process why they think that, because sometimes they believe that things couldn't be any better. Our job is to say, why do you think that? Why do you think that? What are you comparing it to? What's really going on? Instead of telling people how great you are and how they're going to fix your problem, all they need to understand and say out loud is that they have pain. Pain is your leverage for everything regarding sales. And pain is an overused word. It's a buzzword in a lot of sales situations. In my program, we talk a lot about what it actually is and how to find out what it is, what somebody's pain is, because not all problems are pain. What we got to figure out is, do they have pain? I want you to take this as an example. Let's pretend, and I hope this never happens, that you get in a car accident and you're hurt. And you need to go to the hospital. Do you care that the ambulance driver tells you exactly the route in which he's going to take? No. You trust him, right? Ultimately, if somebody understands you and your situation, there is a trust that's built there automatically. The way that you're going to understand somebody, the way that you can show somebody that you understand, is to let them tell you what's going on, what the impacts of that are. Let them tell you what's going on, what are the problems, what are the consequences of those problems, and then what are the personal impacts of those problems. How does it impact them personally? Pain. That's what you need. They need to be talking 70% of the time, you talking 30% of the time. Most of that talking you need to be doing is asking questions. Once they have signed on the dotted line, given you money, that's when you can begin to tell them what you're going to do to fix it. If you tell them before then, you've given them free consulting, they won't take it seriously. Remember, what somebody needs to know is that you understand their problem. You have fixed this problem in the past. I mean, honestly, do you want to know every detail that the surgeon's going to do before he cuts on you? I promise you probably don't. You pick somebody you trust and you move forward. Now, maybe you may ask in generalities what they're going to do, but the reality is the details you don't need to know until you actually signed up. Your best customers don't need to know all the details. All they need to know is that they trust you to fix the problem. They're going to trust you because they know you understand them because you asked questions and listened. And then you've told stories about how you've fixed or that you've fixed this kind of problem in the past. You can give generalizations, but you don't need to go into specifics. Don't don't educate before you've sold. I'm Walker McKay with No BS Sales. Hey, do me a favor. Please review this podcast. Go to Apple. Give me a review. Write the words, not just give me the stars. That really helps me. My goal is to get to 101 in the next couple of days. Help a brother out. Give me a review and share this podcast with somebody who needs to hear it.
Thanks for listening to the No BS Sales School podcast. If you haven't already, please take 1 minute to write a quick review for the show. It really does make a huge difference. Also, subscribe to the show and please forward this episode to somebody else who needs to hear it. As a bonus for listening, I'm going to give you access to a free mini course, 7 expensive sales mistakes you're making and what you can do about it. Go to www.7salesmistakes.com and get access to the free mini course. That's the number 7salesmistakes.com. Thanks again for listening to the OBS Sales School podcast.